Hi guys, welcome back to another video of Q1 FY26 result where we classify the companies that come out with its number into four different categories, that is good, decent, poison and shit. And anyways, in today's video, we are going to be discussing a couple of companies that came out with its result somewhere between 25th and 26th, that is on Friday and Saturday, right? So we will be talking about the companies. So the first company we will start with is Dr. Reddy's Laboratories. Now, if you look at Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, these people do a lot of pharma products, or a generic pharma product. Mostly like 80% of the revenue comes from this generic pharma products. Now what do I mean by generic pharma product is those products which are known by their chemical name, like for example paracetamol, right? You do not know, you don't care which company is manufacturing paracetamol, you know it by the name of the name of the chemical and not by the name of the brand. Another good example I can give is, if you have a lot of acne, you use this gel called nadoxin gel. Now if you go to your pharmacy and you ask them ki, like bhai mujhe ek packet ka nadoxin gel de do, you don't care which brand ka nadoxin gel you're using as long as you're using that gel, right? So these people make a lot of these generic drugs. Aap bol sakte ho 80% of the revenue comes from this, comes from manufacturing these kind of generic drugs. Now if I talk about the geography, these people cater 40% of the revenue comes from the US and 20% of the revenue comes from India. Okay, so US is a huge or a major market, you can tell. Now abhi kya hua hai, if you look at the Q1 over Q1 numbers, you see that the sales that is there has hardly grown by 11%. Okay, so you would see that in terms of the business, they are also getting, like agar aap dekhte ho the amount of products they are putting up, right? They launched around 26 products that is there, across the category, across the markets. You see that the volume growth is also very upbeat, volume growth is also there. So why did, in spite of volume growth, new product launches up kar rahe ho and everything, why did your sales still only grow by, just by mere 11%? That is because of price erosion. Like I told you, these people are making generic drugs. They're not making like that's where the majority of the revenue is coming from, right? 80% of the revenue is coming from generic drugs. And यहाँ पे, a lot of price competitiveness हो रहा है, price erosion हो रहा है. So whatever the volume growth that you're having, right, it is completely offset by this price erosion. Even the new product that you're launching, uska bhi margins are getting completely offset by the existing product ka price erosion. And that is why you will see, right, sales is only up by 11%. And it's getting even harder and harder, considering, even the demand, like your major market is US, 40% of the revenue is coming from there. So even this is also, like really, like not a great sentiment, you can tell. So I would consider, I haven't read the con call, so I do not know what the outlook is like for this entire FY26. But just by looking at the numbers and looking at the PPT, you can tell, right, this is becoming slowly into a poison stock that is there, that is Dr. Reddy's Laboratory. Then we have Sapphire Food India and Westlife Foodworld. Again, both of it are QSR industry. अगर आप Sapphire Food को देखते हो, Sapphire Food is responsible for putting up KFC and Pizza Hut in India, Sri Lanka as well as Maldives. But majority of the revenue उनको India से ही आता है, right? That's where the huge geography is for them. Now India में क्या हो रहा है, as you know, यहाँ पे you would have seen, right, for the last, I would say right after COVID, once we got out of that COVID ka lockdown and everything, after that you see for the last, I think, 2.5 years, this sector has not seen any improvement, the QSR space, right? A huge factor of it is even though people are eating out more, like earlier if you see, I think 10 years ago people would eat out like once in a week. Now probably everybody, most of the people have a tendency to order at least one meal, order one meal from outside every day, right? In spite of that, you see what has happened is the competitive, right, the intensity has increased, right? Because earlier if you see, when you talk about pizzas, there were only two brands. One was Pizza Hut and the other one was Domino's. Now you see कि like हर एक कोने में एक local का pizza brand बन रहा है, right? So that is another thing. Second is, in terms of fast food also, if you see, there were very few big brands in terms of fast food. Now अभी तो fast food का पूरा एक नया ही दुनिया बन चुका है. And with the advent of, the food delivery such as Zomato and आपका Swiggy, all this food delivery का advantage क्या है? They don't have to put their own delivery system, right? They can partner with Zomato and Swiggy, and they can cater to a, they can get into this food delivery model. Which advantage which Domino's had an earlier advantage of, right? उनका ही खुद का delivery system होना and everything. So a lot of these reasons, right? One is one, generally the demand is not that great. The second is, food, the competition intensity has risen. And third is, again, with the advent of Zomato and Swiggy, there is a lot more options for people to go and eat out, rather than choosing the same two brands that are there. Okay, so if you look at Sapphire ka sales is up by 8%. But if you look at the losses, the Q1 ka losses is at 2 crore versus 6 crore in terms of last Q1. Okay, so another thing over here, agar aap dekhte ho, is KFC and Pizza Hut ka, right? KFC and Pizza Hut ka no growth at all. Why am I telling is because अगर आप उसका average daily sales देखते हो, hardly anything, literally hardly anything. Average daily sales अगर आप देखते हो is flat for both of them, or at least it is down अगर आप देखते हो for both KFC and Pizza Hut. The other thing is, I would tell you, store expansion. Okay, now if you look at the store expansion, if you look at for Pizza Hut, they've added 2 stores from last Q4 to Q1 अगर आप देखते हो, they've just added 2 stores. Can you imagine? When a person or when a brand is not opening more stores, think about it, right? अगर आपका धंधा अच्छा चल रहा है, obviously you want to expand, you want to go to newer geographies, आपको और भी ज्यादा सेल्स बनाना है. जब आप स्टोर्स जो है अपना आप जो कम ऐड कर रहे हो, which means what, आपको भी मालूम है कि लाइक डिमांड अच्छा नहीं है. अगर आप स्टोर्स ओपन भी कर रहे हो ना, वो शायद लॉस मेकिंग हो जाता है, तो इसलिए तो आप कर्व करोगे ना स्टोर का ओपनिंग के लिए. सो दिस इज ऑल्सो गोज टू शो यू नो कि लाइक ये जो स्टोर्स का एक्सपेंशन जो कम हो रहा है, इट इज एन इनडायरेक्ट मैसेज टेलिंग कि लाइक आगे जाके it's not going to work out for them. ठीक है, and existing stores भी काम नहीं कर रहे because SSG is not at all there. And on top of that, if you're telling me that new stores also not opening, it is just a recipe for disaster, you can tell. So again, like I told you, they have added 8 stores in this year in Q1 for KFC, and only 2 stores for Pizza Hut. Just to give you an example, if you talk about 23 versus 24, KFC का stores था 341, and in 24 it was 429. That is roughly, you can tell 100 stores. Again, similarly, अगर आप देखते हो 24 versus 25, 429 से 501 KFC store हो गया. Think about it, 23 से 24, 100 stores. 24 से 25, 429 से 501, 70 stores. Do you see the number of stores that they're opening is becoming incrementally less over the period of year, like as we go into the upcoming year? Now you see, right, hardly 8 stores. Now if I extrapolate it also, अगर आप 8 stores if you're opening in a quarter, 8 into 4 is how much? 32. Let's say Q3 and Q4 में आप थोड़ा ज़्यादा ही open करते हो, let's say आपने 20 और open किया, मतलब क्या, शायद you'll open 52 stores by the end of the year. पहले 23 से 24 कितना था? 100 stores. 24 से 25 financial year में कितना था? 70 stores. अभी कितना होने वाले? मोटा मोटी 50 से 60 stores. So do you see that trend, right? It is decreasing. The number of stores you're opening per year continues to decrease. Indirectly telling you कि like by pace of growth जो है हमारा कम होने वाले, indirectly telling you कि like demand जो है वो भी नहीं है, and the customers that are there are not preferring us. ठीक है, so again this is, I would say, Sapphire is a very, very huge poison stock that is there. And anybody investing right now in QSR, right, it would be like as if you're catching a falling knife, right? Matlab, it would be like you're investing with a hope, कि like things will get improved. Shayad, things may never improve. That is also a higher possibility or probability आप बोल सकते हो. Then we have Westlife Foodworld, which is also in the same case as Sapphire. Uska jo sales hai is up by 6%. SSG is hardly 0.5%. And वही PAT is at 1.23 crore versus last time the PAT was 6 crore. Okay, nothing, you can see the degrowth in PAT, right? कहाँ 6 crore, कहाँ 1 crore का PAT, a huge degrowth आप बोल सकते हो. Again, same thing as Sapphire, not a huge poison over here, entire QSR का space that is there. I think the only thing I'm looking forward in QSR is probably Jubilant Foodworks, that is Domino's, because in Q4 I believe they did a 20% kind of growth when everybody was doing like 5 to 10%. So hopefully we can see Jubilant ka maybe let's see. I don't want to tell anything. Then we have Bikaji Foods International. Bikaji Food International, अगर आप देखते हो, ये सब भुजिया बनाते हैं, आलू भुजिया, जिसमें अमिताभ बच्चन का फोटो आता है. I think everybody knows about it. इसका भी अगर आप देखते हो, sales is up by 15%. Volume growth जो है, volume growth is hardly 7 to 8%. Single digit volume growth है. Value growth on the other hand is up by 12%. ठीक है, which means these people have taken a lot of price hike in the last from last year to this year, and even from Q4 to Q1 अगर आप देखते हो, बहुत सारा प्राइस हाइक किया है इन्होंने. Why? Because the raw material का prices has again inflation आ चुका है. Whether you talk about your palm oil, whether you talk about that basin and everything, a lot of raw material inflation is there, because of which you have to take the value growth. Value growth is up by 12%. Now in spite of having this volume growth of 8 to 7% and you're having this value growth of 12%, in spite of this, you see that the operating leverage is not at all there. Okay, again goes to show you how bad the raw material inflation is there. there. A part of it is also capex. उनका कुछ capex चल रहा है where they are increasing the capacity, but I do not want to go into depth of it because when your sales growth is 11%, 15%, and you're talking about you will continue to grow in mid-teens kind of growth. I don't want to dig deep and know कि like आपने 1 लाख टन का plant में आपने शायद 200,000 tons में you have increased. Makes no sense over here, right? बाल का खाल उखाड़ना नहीं है. Again, and उसका एक और capex चल रहा है. These people are partnering up with a एक joint venture they're opening up in Nepal with a company over there called as CG Foods Nepal, to start over there manufacturing, trading of snacks. Okay, again insignificant considering India is a big operation over here, and here the volume growth is not that upbeat, and also the guidance for this year is also not upbeat. Again, another poison stock I would tell, because if you remember Bikaji would at least grow by 20%. अभी 20 से 14 शायद आगे जाके 14 से 10 भी करे. That is why I would put it as poison stock, because इसका जो pace of growth है, it is getting lower and lower and lower as we progress into the other quarters of the year also. Then we have other two companies which are very very interesting. Okay, the first company over here is Sai Silks Kalamandir. Now अगर आप अगर आप इस company को देखते हो, what did this company do? They actually trade saris. So these people have their brands called as Kalamandir, Varma Lakshmi, Mandir, and KLM Fashions बोल के है, where they generally sell this bridal wear or occasion wear saris. Now उनका जो different brand है, like if you talk about Varma Lakshmi and everything, वो थोड़ा higher variant है जहाँ पे आपका एक साड़ी का दाम can go even up to 3 to 4 lakhs. Kalamandir is somewhere between 25,000 to 1 lakh. Like एक different price point के लिए different उनका brand है. Like I told you, Mandir, Varma Lakshmi, and Kalamandir, all of these three are mostly focused into saris, all that silk sari, Kanchipuram sari, Banaras ka sari and everything. KLM Fashions is more of into selling आपका ethnic wear along with your western wear, and for everybody, kids, men and ladies. Other three brands that are there, it is mostly for women and mostly saris. उनको almost आप बोल सकते हो 60-65% of the sales comes by this sari का sale only. Okay, now यहाँ पे I know a lot of people are cheering because इसका sales जो है, sales is up by 40%. PAT, that is there, PAT went from 2 crores to 30 crores. EBITDA margin went from 7 to 15%. SSG is at 29%. Now I know a lot of this is a huge big deal for them. The kind of numbers that they're having is because these people had guided for a 20% kind of growth, and considering you've done 40%, you might think it is a classic case of under promise and over deliver. But that is not the case, because there is a huge difference over here. When you talk about Q1 of this year versus Q1 of last year, Q1 of last year what did we have? We had heat waves, right? Terrible heat waves. We had elections, right? So Q1 of last year में the walk-ins that is there, because इनका कोई online का sale नहीं है. A lot of the sale happens only by when you go to the showroom and you purchase. And the other thing is, like I told you, these people sell most of these bridal wear saris and occasion based saris. Now think about it, right? If you are a bride, do you really want to go and shop from Flipkart and Amazon? No. These are the times you would want to go, you want to get that touch and feel of the sari you want to wear, because it's a huge purchase that you're doing, right? Like आपका like 20,000 का sari and all you're getting, you don't want to do it via online का purchase. So what happened is यहाँ पे walk-ins जो है was drastically down in Q1 of FY25 because of heat waves and elections. That is one. So you're operating on a lower base, because of which 40% का growth आया. The second thing is, because of these heat waves and election क्या हुआ था, Q1 of last year there were less number of wedding dates compared to, let's say, Q1 of this year. This year Q1 we had more wedding dates, more number of weddings compared to Q1 of last year, which gave this 40% का growth. So this 40% का growth that is there, this kind of EBITDA margins that is there, this kind of SSG, because if you look at their SSG, they've been traditionally a very like a single digit kind of SSG they always post. So that is what I'm trying to tell. This numbers are not sustainable for them. In fact, उन्होंने con call में भी वही बोला that the guiding is their guidance is for 15%. Sorry, that is what it is. And again, this is an aberration in the quarter. Even if you talk in terms of store count also, they have plans to open 15 stores in this year. And right now in Q1 they've only opened one store. 69 stores है अभी store count है. Maybe there could be a delay in terms of store opening, because this time we had a lot of rains, right? आप देख सकते हो heavy rains हो रहा है the entire April and May and everything. So because of which again the store could be delayed, right? but that is what they're telling. Other than that, not much update. Again, 15% का growth है, 40% is just not sustainable. In fact, I do not trust this company. I've been tracking this company since the time it's come for IPO. You can see there could be many videos on my channel regarding the same. Since the time they've come for IPO, now they tell one thing and they've never been able to execute, right? Never. They guide for a certain set of numbers in terms of revenue, in terms of SSG. They guide for certain set of numbers in terms of store expansion. Never been able to meet up with that. Always underperforms whatever the guidance are given. Every time it is one or the other thing. Either it is rain, either it is heat waves. It's I find it very hard to trust this company. I'll be very honest over here. Okay. Then the other company that we have is Zen Technologies, a very interesting company, because if you remember in the last year, FY24, if you see, they were clocking around 450 crores in revenue, and for FY25 they had a target to do 900 crores in revenue, and they did way more than that. They ended the year with 978. Exceptional set of numbers throughout FY25. FY25 has been great year for Zen Technologies, but you saw that in FY25 call that is there, right? They mentioned that is in Q4 of FY25 that they mentioned कि like भाई FY26 में हमारा muted growth होने वाले, because the order book that is there, it is not, we do not see a visibility in terms of order book is, I think that time Q4 के FY25 में order book was hardly 600 crores, right? And because of elections, because of that war that happened and everything, there has been a delay in terms of order book, receiving orders and the orders getting materialized and everything, right? And they openly mentioned in the Q4 को con call कि like the growth that will be there is muted. FY26 के लिए we will have a muted growth, but maybe from FY27, 28, 29 going forward, in the next 3 years they will achieve a top line of 6,000 crore, right? So obviously it was no surprise, no big brainer कि like इस साल जो है muted growth होने वाले हैं. But I think what is surprising is the Q1 over Q1 numbers. When you see, sales is down by a whooping 36%, PAT is down by 30%. And what I found even more funny is, if you look at the press release and if you look at the PPT, they have only mentioned the revenue ka number of last quarter, this quarter, and Q1 of FY25. There is no QOQ ka change and YOY ka change. Even if you take the investor PPT, like you have this bar graph, right, where they mention ki like, okay, Q1 mein itna hua, last Q1 mein itna, there will be an arrow upward or downward. Nothing. It's just like two blocks where they mention the revenue pattern, EBITDA margins and everything. And I'm like, I understand, just because you don't give the QOQ ka change or the year on year ka change, just because you don't draw the arrows, it doesn't change the truth. Ki like aapka sales gira hai 36%. I don't know why companies do this. Like, I understand, your sales degrew and everything, but that doesn't mean you literally don't report that, that percentage change. Like I don't know what's wrong with these companies, bro. Like absolutely crazy, right? But anyways, is coming back to the topic. Iska jo sales, it's down by 36%, PAT is down by 30%, and the order book that is there, it is right now at 750 crores. It is again, we are going to have a muted growth. There is no denying about it. There is no denial about it, right? Another thing you will see is, again, even for the upcoming year also, you do not see this improving. They are very confident कि like इस साल जो है it will be muted growth. Even if you look at the other company in this industry, is that Idea Forge बोल के है, which does this drones, right? Drones for civil and for defense also they do the drones. उन्होंने भी वही बोला था, उनका भी order book was hardly 14 crore. Their sales fell by 85% this year. Same reason. Or both of them operate in the same environment, right? Both Zen Technologies and Idea Forge. Defense का है, government से contact मिलता है ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा. Same to same narrative that is there. It goes to show you कि like इस industry में problem है. I will give you my 2 cents of opinion over here. Like I know by the way, I don't hold Zen Technologies, just so you know. For some reason, most of you all think if I speak good about a company that happens to be in my portfolio, I do not know why, but okay, stay delulu. I can't help it. But anyways, what was I telling? Yeah, my 2 cents of opinion here, I will tell you, right? Like, see, I understand कि like these people will do 6,000 crore in the upcoming 3 years, but by how do you know it will actually happen? अभी का जो है scene है that is there is no growth. That is growth will not happen, right? It is going to be muted growth at all. What I'm trying to tell is last साल they did great everything, and I'm pretty sure for most of you guys, right, who has played this business, kudos to you. You took a huge bet over here and you played, and it has become 2x 3x for many of you. I would say, bhai, protect the money that you've already made, right? That is much better. I would say be safe than sorry. Protect that money, take that money off the table and put that money somewhere else and make money for the upcoming year, right? For the upcoming FY26 year, make money somewhere else and continue to track this company. Track the company. Don't stop tracking the company. Track the company and see when things are getting better, because H2 may also it won't get better. And wait until and see this order book, because see, we're talking about government ka order book over here. It can get delayed infinitely. I would like to I don't want to refute कि like यहाँ पे growth नहीं कभी नहीं आएगा. I'm not telling that, but शायद ये कभी ना आए. शायद ये जो government का order book है, maybe instead of 1 year it might get delayed for 2 years. You do not know, I do not know. You and me are ultimately outsiders. भाई हम लोग business नहीं चला रहे, हम धंधा नहीं चला रहे, हम लोग बाहर के लोग हैं. Ultimately हमें ये सब insider का कुछ नहीं मालूम पड़ता है. जो भी है वो 2 document पढ़ के हमें decision लेना पड़ेगा, right? So I would say be safe with your money. Better be safe than sorry. Now continue to track. When you see कि like Q4 को con call में, Q3 को con call में, if you see that the management is changing the tone, they're telling कि like ha, we are on track, we will do that 6,000 crore, order book is increasing, then start deploying your money back again. Because what if the situation never improves? Because the downside over here, or everything that you have made can go down the drain, right? I mean, might as well make money somewhere else. When things improve, come back over here. As simple as that, right? Learn to churn your portfolio. Learn to be with a company when things are going well, and learn to leave the company when things are going bad. You shouldn't be emotionally attached over here. Ho gaya, you made money, great, well and good. Now take the money, put somewhere else and come back later. That's all I will tell. The biggest mistake now people will do, you know what? यहाँ पे two चीज होते हैं. Now people, because either they missed that rally when the entire stock went from that 900, 800, to that 1600, 1800 kind of levels. They missed that rally. Now that the stock is falling 5%, circuit खा रहा है. People what they will do, they will think like अरे सस्ते में मिल रहा है, they will try to buy it, okay? But they don't understand सस्ता इसलिए हो रहा है because आगे का growth ही नहीं है, इसलिए तो सस्ता हो रहा है. That is one mistake people will do. The second mistake what they will do, they will be like either they have made money over here, right? They made that 2x 3x or whatsoever, so they get emotionally attached over here and they don't want to cut the position right now because again management has told कि like FY27 से growth आ जाएगा, right? They're confident about that. But my question is, what if the growth never comes back? What if it never happens? Or maybe even if it happens, by the time that FY27 comes, by that Q4 comes, maybe the stock is down 50%. Why would you want to lose Joe already that you have made? Why would you want to maybe you can take that money and put somewhere else. I mean, even if the stock doesn't fall, it could be consolidating, right? And you're not making any money. You're losing your time. You're losing. It's capital misallocation of both of you, right? That is also happening over here. So that is the entire logic, right? Like with the Zen Technologies. I mean, see, I understand the management is great and everything, but over here you need sales growth for you to make money as a shareholder. You need sales growth, you need EPS growth, you need a lot of things that goes well in your favor. You also have to be a little bit lucky, I'm not going to deny that, in order for things to go in your favor, right? And right now if you see, the probability of things going in your favor is very less, right? Very very minuscule in fact, right? And my only dar hai ki like what if that order book of growth never comes back in Q4, or like it takes a lot more time, I would say. So that is why you should learn how to track the companies, learn to cut your positions, learn to build your positions also in the same company. A lot of times you don't need newer opportunities every time. If you continue to track a company na, शायद आप उसी company में 3 times पैसा बना सकते हो. I made 3 times money in Angel One, right? Because I just continue to track that company. I didn't do anything different. मैंने 3 बार उस घटिया company में मैंने पैसा बनाया, just by playing the same thing, cutting, increasing, right? Every time when the cycle came, I made money over there. That is what I'm trying to tell. It is okay. All I'm telling is right now, if you invest in this company, right, even God can't save you. That is, even God can't. I was going to tell God save you, but even God will also not be able to save you. And that's that. So Zen Technologies for this FY26 year, I would say it is poison, because 100% का growth engine था. अभी sales is not at all there, muted growth होने वाले, and they re-emphasized it in the PPT also. So that is the thing. So hopefully we see in the upcoming quarters, that is in H2 probably, at least in Q4 we see that the order book that is there increases. I really hope so all of you guys can make money, but as of now, a big no. That's all I can tell. So that's that for today's video. I still have a couple of companies, but video is already 24 minutes ka hai, so I wouldn't extend the video. But anyways, I will make another video on that. And that's it guys, take care, bye.